It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're back with Glenn Boblitz. Glenn, golly, the world just keeps
You
getting...
just said it all right there. Yeah, holy smokes. Yeah,
Fertilizer up 70%.
yeah.
And unless we can get that Hormuz straight run, fixed up and figure out how to get through there, it's...
I put it out in one of my little chats on the side. This was several days ago. But,
Right.
We got about 10 days before these countries run out of energy. Everything's fueled by it.
Right.
Come on, wake up. So...
Did you hear the plan about starting to send our allies that rely on some of this Iranian oil, like the Japanese, sending it from Alaska, saying it might take just a little bit longer, but the majority of the shore they're running along is guarded by us, so they would have safety of passage.
Yeah.
And why not? Why is the Strait of Hormuz? Why
So
is that the
critical.
only?
I guess the shipping cost, A, contracts, B, and you can't get it all from one spot. That's the whole issue here. Most of it is going up north of Hormuz for those countries over there, and what comes out goes to these other countries. Well, that's 20%.
Right.
And it doesn't take a genius to figure out, 20%, 20%, 20%, it's 100%.
Yeah.
They're depending on those steady shipments. So in about 10 days, we're going to see countries run out of fuel, whether it's natural gas or diesel or the crude so they can refine it. Yeah, I mean, it's all the same. It's just a just-in-time delivery.
Right.
We've heard that.
Right. It's kind of like living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, kind of like your food is a just-in-time delivery. Well, when things start breaking down that bad, you start losing components.
Right.
Of your manufacturing, of all of that. Plastics. I wonder how much plastics is used around the world. Wow. Well, that's all petroleum-based.
It is.
Not all, but
A lot of it.
most of it. All my conduit for electrical work, PVC conduit. Anything that's PVC is a petroleum-based product. And guess what? The price of that stuff's doing? Gosh. Straight through.
Good thing I got my project done when I did.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, good thing I've been hoarding up every scrap of PVC I've ever had on every job. And regardless of that, you need to evaluate what that means. And that's kind of how I wanted to talk about today. And just doing evaluation here. We tend to just go through life here. We can't do that.
Right.
You need to be prepared so you can be sustainable. Well, in order for that, you better evaluate what you're doing and where you're at. And we just don't do that well enough. So, it's like inventory. You have to inventory to know if you got enough product to build your little widget. Same thing here. How prepared are you? How sustainable can you be? Well, today's the day, folks. You need to sit back and evaluate where you're at, individually, of course, and then your family. Everybody, if your family doesn't function together, you don't have one. It's just turmoil. So, as I was saying, individually, you need to evaluate. Evaluate what your family's needs are going to be. Your close friends, your inner circle, are they functioning well? Because, know it or not, you depend on those people. One of them may be your favorite mechanic.
Right.
And how's he doing? How's he going to make it? Just your friends that you just depend on. if you were to call me and said, hey, I need somebody to spot my ladder for an hour over here, could you come do that? And that's something very simple, but you also depend on these people in case.
Right.
Well, we are at the in case.
Well, I mean, if there's a fuel shortage, for example, you're going, you know what, Mark, under normal times, I'd be there for you in a minute. But I've got to watch my fuel.
I'd still come.
Oh, I know you would.
I'd jump on my motorcycle because it don't take much.
That's right. You got that little 125 or 75.
Yeah, one of the 175. Yeah. I'll be here in 20 minutes. But you're right.
But people think that way. I mean,
well, it depends on at what stage you're at.
Sure.
Are you down to the last 5 gallons and nobody can get any more?
Hey, I'm old enough to remember you could only get gas on odd and even days.
Been there, done that. I remember, and the fights.
Yeah.
Oh, you better not cut in line.
Right.
Jojo Rockhead would come out of his pickup truck, and you may not have even cut in front of him. You may have cut in front of some old lady, and he took that personally.
Sure.
Well, regardless of that, we want you to do these evaluations. Mm-hmm. You're going to evaluate yourself, your family, your close friends, and your community. The reason you need to evaluate where your community's at, because that's where your police department's at, that's where your local government's at, that's where all the services are coming from. Are they reacting to the times? If it's an energy crisis that lingers on too much longer, all those things are going to change. Like I said, everything runs off energy. That's a fact.
I just found out this week that California had 40, not large refineries, because they have to have a special blend there anyways, but their summer blend anyhow. There were 40 refineries in the state of California. There's 5.
Good gosh.
There's now 5. They are the most energy-dependent state on other states. They not only get their fuel, they get their actual energy. They pull from Arizona and a couple other states. When the brownouts are happening and occurring, they're saying, yeah, can you send us, whatever, however many you understand this a lot better than I do, kilobytes or whatever, kilowatts. It's and Virginia now with this governor we have, she's bought back into the California plan that Youngkin was trying to overturn, and that's about energy.
Well,
carbon footprint.
Until we weed out the stupidity and the evil that's come into this country and world, we're just going to have to fight this all the time.
Right. It's a constant.
You can only push people so far, and man, we're real close.
Right.
I hope it never happens because that's a fuse you can't put out.
Right. Yeah.
Once it starts, it's going to go all the way.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to happen, but my God, they're not listening to anything else.
Yeah.
And then you got the same old battle that's been going on forever of good and evil. Mm-hmm. Islam against the Christians.
Right.
It's here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It is here. People are finally figuring out, it's not just a Muslim faith, they're just practicing that. No, they're practicing their faith, all right. And it says to wipe out all the infidels.
Right.
That would be you. That would be me.
Us. Right.
There's no tolerance whatsoever.
Well,
they'll kill their own people. Don't you think they would kill you?
Well, that goes to my point. I just heard probably the same speech you heard on Beck's show, where he said, and yes, this includes secular Muslims that aren't following the letter of the law will be taken out.
They have the same death sentence as you and I would if one of the clerics points at you, and that's all it takes. That is just so insane to me.
Right.
But I'm not quite that easy to kill. And I don't like this subject,
Right.
But it's in my face.
Right.
They said it on the news, we're taking over. We're going to kill you. That is our job, is to kill you if you do not convert to Islam. That's pretty serious, folks. So the only way that you can possibly avoid that is to keep your head on a swivel and know that threat's there.
And hope the lawmakers don't give in like they've done in the UK.
Right. If you want to know what our future looks like, look at the UK right now.
Sharia law courts popping up all over.
My God.
That goes above British law, in their minds anyway.
Right. They don't even look at British law.
And thank God Texas, what was it, 95 or 98% voted it down just recently that there would be no Sharia law in Texas because they were trying.
And I can't believe they had to do that. But there they are, folks. And it's like a flood that's coming across this country. Well, we're one of the last countries to be a holdout for this. Mm-hmm. And if you want to know what it looks like, look at those countries. Look at France. Look at all of Europe.
Yeah, Spain.
They were tolerant to the point of their own destruction. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not going that way. I'm gonna be one of the people that's gonna stand up a little tougher than that. Mm-hmm. Now, whether my local government does and all that, I don't know. They seem to be in the same neighborhood that I'm at. Mm-hmm. I've attended a couple local meetings, and they want to say the Pledge of Allegiance. They want to have their prayers, not to Islam. Now, there's no pressure on them, really. No real pressure, other than just what they see. If the threats get any worse than what they're talking about, and we've all heard about these terror cells that are going to be activated and have been activated,
right.
You may see it in your hometown. Really bothers me is we have Liberty University, the largest Christian university in the nation. Mm-hmm. I think that's a target.
Right.
Well, there is a group in Red House, Virginia.
Not that far from Liberty.
Now, that may be some of the moderates. It may be. Mm-hmm. But that's not what their book says. So when they threaten me, their top cleric threatens me because I'm Christian, because I'm not Islamic. I'm going to take that serious.
Yeah.
So to have something that close, you better know that they're not coming to get you. And we don't. So back to what I keep saying is be prepared, and not just food, water, and shelter, but in your defenses, in your daily life of around the town, you need to be visually aware.
Mm-hmm. We were somewhere the other night where there was a crowd, and I took the Marco Galbraith approach, looked where the exits were, had my back against a wall.
Daggone it, we have to. Do you like it? No. Is it an affront to a free society? Yes. Doesn't matter. It's here. They left the doors open, and they walked in and started changing this country. Until you step up and say, I've had enough, and that's coming. And there's a quiet pushback. It's not so quiet anymore. Well, there's a next step to that, and then the next step, and the last step is ugly. So hopefully somebody will pay attention enough to Americans, because I think there was a poll, it's like 98% said, no, we don't want this. But yet they keep pushing it. That's insanity. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why they want to take the guns, because we're subject to go off here.
Right.
I've seen it. it's starting. Look at Britain. I mean, thousands of people in the street.
Yeah.
This is not just a simple protest. These are hundreds of thousands of people saying we have had enough. They don't have any guns. That's their issue.
Right.
They took their guns a long time ago. Now they can't do nothing but chant and wave flags and do what they can do. This country is not like that yet. If they take the guns, you're going to be just like them, with no power, no recourse. What power would you have? Waving a flag? Flag don't scare me either. Now, regardless of what all's going on, you got to protect yourself. You got to protect your family. You got to protect your community. Look out for your friends, and that's where you need to do right now. You need to evaluate, could I do all those things? I'm looking around saying you cannot. There is so many people that doesn't even have 30 days worth of food stored up, and I don't care if it's beans and rice. They don't have it. They don't have an inkling that they need a gallon of water a day, each person. Well, what if the tap's turned off? What, the county goes down, power goes out, whatever it is. And this could be just a natural emergency. And you're so vulnerable.
Right.
And I can't believe people in today's times, with all the threats that surround us, are still, living in a cartoon world. This is not cartoon. This is not Hollywood. So today I want you to be serious about evaluating all those things. I'd start with just your primary things that you must have, your priorities to stay alive. One of them's water, always, always. Find a second source, have some backup stored. I don't care if you pour it in a rubber boot, at least you would have water.
Right.
If you don't have that, you're going to have to find it. A secondary source, whether it's a neighbor down the road, which means you're going to have to haul it in.
Right.
At least you'll have it. Being able to get that water is one thing. Being able to store it and keep it safe and keep it clean is another. A quarter cup of bleach in a 55-gallon drum will keep it for 2 years. Ask me how I know. I've got one. And I tested it. I'm one of them guys. I got a microscope. I look at it. I don't just go, wow, that tastes good. No, I pull it up and make sure there's no little bacteria in there that's going to make me sick. Because if power's down, and that means the hospitals are down, and you get sick, you're in deep doo-doo. So I make sure. So that bleach in there will keep that water fresh. And I mean, it doesn't taste stale. It doesn't taste nasty. You don't taste bleach as long as you didn't use the soapy bleach. Clean bleach, plain bleach.
And you talked about those tablets too, right?
You can get the bleach tablets. They're all the same. And, it's to purify water. Just make sure you're putting the correct stuff in your water. And all this is online. That's why I don't have to push too much about online. There is far better videos out there where people go in and explain for 30 minutes on how to purify your water. Man, you better start looking at them, because you may need every opportunity you have to make clean water. If nothing else, you could pass that information along to people that aren't aware, and there's a lot of them. There's only like 3% of the entire population that is aware and actively prepping. That is a lot of people that are not.
Right.
And they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be panicky. Those are dangerous people. So the more people that you can make aware and get them started, they become less of a danger, less of a vulnerability for themselves. And it may be your friends. You'll be surprised. That brings me to the police department. They are woefully unprepared at home. God bless them guys for getting out and doing the crap that they do. I would not have that job because people are just ignorant and treat them terribly. Some of them need to be treated terribly, but that's another story.
Right.
Only maybe 0.5% of them are like that. But that's what you see on YouTube, bad cops,
Mm-hmm.
There's bad people everywhere, including the police department.
Right.
But not all of them. People, these are good family people that are just trying to make it, but they are so blissfully unaware of how vulnerable their families are, even though they got a gun on their hip. That does not make you safe.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people out there that are not prepared. Those are going to make you unsafe. So, ergo, you can't afford to, if crap hits fan, you can't afford to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have this stuff stored back, set up to get you over the hump through that first 3 months, if crap goes all to pieces, you're not going to make it. So heads up here, people. So start evaluating your water. Food inventory, same exact way. You need about 3 pounds of food per day. That's a lot of food. Now, you may cut that back if you want, but I'm telling you, you're going to be working your butt off. You're going to need that energy source. Now, MREs and all that kind of stuff, that's good for 1, 2, 3 days at the most, and then your system's going to lock up. And I do mean lock up where you're going to have a hard time having a bowel movement. That's not something you want to elaborate on radio or podcast, but here you are. I'm just telling you.
Part of daily life.
Even the military knows that you don't want to feed these guys for 10 days in a row on this stuff, or that'll be the end of your guys. They'll be in the infirmary taking X-Lax. All right, so food, it's a no-brainer, but you have to have a renewable source of food. If it's a natural disaster where it maybe knocks everything out for a month or so, you could probably make it through on your stores. But after that, you're going to have another source. If you've gone through all of that, then what do? Then you're going to be out in the street. So, I talk about gardening all the time, and a lot of people don't have that. You better get with somebody that does ahead of time. You must make that evaluation of how well am I prepared if this goes longer than a month, than your 30 days. If you can't come up with the answer, you are vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I know I'm beating on you here, but this is your life. I don't need this. I've taken care of my stuff. I've taken care of my family. I've taken care of my peeps. Mm-hmm. I'm making sure that they're doing exactly what I'm telling you, and it's getting more serious all the time. Used to be just disruption that made us vulnerable. This is way more than disruption. Mm-hmm. These are serious physical bodily harm threats that are now on your lap. So just add it to the jelly bean jar. As long as you have what I'm telling you, you don't have to go out into that for your supplies. You'll already have it at home. So this makes you less vulnerable and not part of the problem. We're struggling with that in my group. Resources are really thin. I get that. But there's always an answer there. There is cheap food out there. You may have to make choices and hard choices. You may have to work every weekend from now on to put a sweat equity into somebody else's farm so you'll have food when you need it. Or your garden. Right now, for me, it's gardening like a madman. I'm waiting for the frost to quit.
Right. Yeah, we got snow since we last met.
Yeah, every time I turn around, I'm getting frosted. My poor fruit trees, they don't know what to do. 80 one day and snow the next. And that's not good on fruit production. I can tell you that, folks. I didn't get hardly nothing last year for the same scenario. All right, we're back to water, food, shelter, and communication. Communication, that is probably something that's going to be taken out because it'll cause such a disruption. Now, communication is not just your phone. Banks run on communication. Inventory control systems run on communications. So it's not just your phone that goes down that drives your teenagers crazy when they don't have it. You know, our economy kind of runs on our computers, which is communication.
Right.
So if they target that, you're going to lose your phone too, or possibly the service in your immediate area. And then the crap gets started. You don't want to go out in the crap. You want to know what's happening. It may start out up in Richmond. We don't know. So how are you going to communicate? There's all kinds of radios now that weren't here 2 years ago. I don't want to call out the names of these companies, but there's radios that are using satellites. And they're pretty good. They're not terribly expensive, but it's just another form of communication. They're cheaper than a new iPhone. I can tell you that.
Right. Yeah.
The old-fashioned CBs, people have kind of forgotten about them, but they are pretty dependable in a local area up to about 25 miles. That's about your length that you're going to be able to get just because of our terrain, unless you live way up on a hill with a really high antenna.
Right.
So, do you know how to operate that CB? Do you know what makes it work? There's all kinds of stuff online again for this, which never was there before. We used to give classes on it 2-3 years ago. Now it's online everywhere. You can, for free. You don't have to drive nowhere to see it. At least you can get the basics of it. There's all kinds of ham operators out there that are, they're licensed ham operators that are for communication in time of emergency. That's why they allow them to have that frequency. You can find that guy by looking for the biggest antenna you ever seen in your whole life. You go, that guy must get every TV station in the world because look at the size of his antenna. Well, that's not what that is. That is a ham radio operator. Be very polite and go say, I am very interested in radio communication. And these guys would fall all over themselves because they have so much knowledge. And it takes a lot. We got a group right now that's trying to teach some of the local people in Bedford how to use this stuff, getting them licensed. I suggest that you bone up on communication here, folks, is my point. You can get these little squad radios that are good for a mile, if the stars are aligned and the weather's perfect. 100 yards may be the limit on some of them just because of your terrain. Right. But it's all about line of sight, you know. So, but they do real good if you're on the farm. You can call into the house and say, hey, I'm out on the backside of the field. I need this. So you can take that same scenario and say, okay, we have an emergency and we need to guard our little neighborhood. You can use those little squad radios. They do good there. Communication. There's nothing worse than not knowing what's going on around you. If they take your communication out, how are you going to know? They'll just shut it down. And whether it gets hacked or some liberal Virginia governor turns it off because we're getting angry at her, whatever the scenario is, you need that communication. So evaluate your communication. if your evaluation says, hey, I have nothing, you might want to change your plan. All right, we got down to energy. This is going to be a tough one because energy just costed you a bunch of money. Storing up a bunch of fuel. A, super expensive. B, dangerous to have around. You can't store that in your basement in a large quantity. Gaseous vapors, and somebody turns a light bulb on and you've lost your whole basement and your house was now over in a neighbor's yard. This stuff is explosive. The vapors are explosive. So all of that needs to be looked at. So what other alternative energies do you have? Having that generator, does the generator run? These are all evaluation points. I just drained the generator from the last storm, made sure it didn't have, stale fuel laying in my fuel bowl for the next storm.
Right.
That's the only reason generators start up at my house. Because when I'm done, I drain everything out, a little shot of WD-40 in the tank and in the carburetor bowl. That keeps that thing from varnishing up.
Right, because ethanol.
Right. Our fuel sucks. It will varnish up. It has bacteria in it now that'll grow because it's been grown or made with corn or ethanol. So that's a form of energy for you.
Yeah.
It's only a temporary though, because you only have energy as long as you have fuel. So back to fuel. How do you store that amount of fuel? Smart way is to rotate your fuel.
Right.
5-gallon gas cans. If you use it wisely, that'll last you a long time. But it can't be 5 years old. You can stretch it out to about 2.5 years if it's stored properly and have been treated with antimicrobial mix that you put in it. All those things. You probably don't even know that. You better know that, because the day you reach down and grab that 5-gallon can, it smells like varnish. Do not put that in your gas tank, because it'll just clog it up and it'll die, and you won't be able to get any parts to replace anything. I can tell you that.
Right.
So, energy. Light is energy. How are you going to light your house? Now you're down to batteries. Good gosh, it's a irksome subject to me. So many people have so many devices and items that run off batteries.
Right.
And they go, well, I bought some batteries off Amazon that were made in China.
Right.
Alkaline, and I've had them for 10 years. They're good shape. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Alkaline degrades
over time,
and if you look at the bottom of a battery, you get that little white foamy stuff on there, and you go, wonder what that is. That means your battery's dead. And that's a caustic acid. Having batteries stored a long time in a device like a radio,
right,
and you pull it out and it's all crusty inside and green, it's ate up, it's not going to work.
Right.
That stuff gets down into the little circuit boards. Right. It's an acid. It'll eat it right out. So batteries are a pain in the butt. The technology has not kept up with price. The price for a really good battery is very expensive. Rechargeable batteries are like 4 times as much. But they are rechargeable up to a point. You can only get so many charges out of them, and they form this crystal and pokes a hole in the battery, may catch fire. Holy crap! Metal hydrides. All those lithium ions, they all have a tendency to crystallize. Crystals are sharp, and they'll penetrate over into the next cell.
Oh, wow.
And that's a short circuit. You ever see these little scooters that they had that were catching fire?
Yes.
Teslas that were catching fire? That's what's happening. So that kind of technology seems great, but it's really not. It is limited. there's really no super duper battery out there. So all the batteries that you bought 5 years ago, you have to rebuy, or you check every one of them, pull them out with a voltmeter and see if they're still good, and check for leakage and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to find out a bunch of them are going to be leaking. They just do. They're not meant to store.
Right.
They're meant to be purchased, used up, thrown away. So it's kind of detrimental to the prepper to keep buying, several $100s worth of batteries. Look how many devices we have with batteries. Some devices you can't change the battery in, like your phone.
Right. Yeah, they've used to be able to.
Right.
Do you have an opinion on these solar panel generator systems?
Love them. But they are still a battery.
Right.
The solar panel is just going to put energy into the battery.
Right.
And the battery stores it for a period of time for when you need it. But it's still a battery.
Right.
And there's some lithium ions and some other components that they now have, different type of chemicals that are in the battery that they say made them a little more sustainable. But they only have an infinite number of charges.
Right.
That you'll find that those big batteries will charge up to 100%, but for the first year you're using them on and off. But if you drain them down all the way down to zero, they won't charge back up to 100%.
Okay.
They'll come up to, say, 80. And the next time it'll be 70. If you keep killing that battery all the way down to zero and then try to recharge it, it's really hard on the batteries. So
you try to, like my father-in-law would tell my wife when she was starting to drive, don't let your car get below a quarter of a tank.
Right. So that's basically it.
Yeah.
But, it may be an emergency, and you have to. Okay, well, then you need to have a plan B. So, a little smart usage of your resources should be part of your plan.
Yeah.
And it has to be a habit. As soon as you see it get down to 25%, you go, yeah, I know I want to talk to everybody down the road, but if I don't plug this thing into my solar panel right now and let it charge back up, I'm going to lose the whole shooting match. So there's sacrifices that are going to have to be made and provisions that are going to have to be changed in order for you to have all these little systems that you've grown accustomed to.
Sure.
We live in a convenience world.
Oh, my, yeah.
And you're going to have to change that. You're going to have to live in a sustainable world. And the more sustainable you plan for, work for, bring your resources towards, the better off you are.
Right.
We may never need none of this stuff. I don't believe that for 1 minute, but it's a possibility too. Everything I do is based on a probability. So my probability says it's greater than 50%. So I should put more effort into it. I'm not going to Disney World this year on vacation. I will take my vacation money and buy me another solar panel or whatever it is. Buy another pig. I don't care.
Right.
As long as it's towards your sustainability that you know you're going to need. Now, if you're a Christian, you've probably read to the back of the book and you find out, hey, this is the last chapter.
Yeah.
That's happening a lot more. People go, wow, this is exactly like the good book said. Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Maybe I ought to pay attention a little more. Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. Do I have a little halo over my head there, Mark? No, I do not.
Neither do
but
I.
I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. I can tell you that. But thankfully, I'm not who I used to be.
Right. Yeah.
So there you are. So I believe what I'm reading because the evidence is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But faith is something that's evidence unseen, and still have the faith. That's what faith is. But okay, and I'm not trying to convert nobody over here unless you're Islam. I'll try to convert you there so you don't get yourself hurt. Back to us. So what threats are out there? Same threats have always been out there. We got weather events and natural disasters. How about yesterday?
know.
They thought
The
it was going to
wind.
be 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
Well, they didn't actually come in the beginning. They come at the end. Oh, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way weather does. It surprises you. So protecting yourself against a weather event is just as smart as protecting yourself against some terrorist threat or somebody running around town, creating havoc. It's all a threat, how big of a threat and how much damage it can do to your little world. That's how I determine where to put those threats. I've called it the jelly bean jar. My jelly bean jar is about half full. That's a lot of them. And I go, well, there's another one, clink. So you can't prepare for all of them. But
Right.
but they all have commonalities. They all have that, what if I lose water, food, shelter, energy, communication. So there's all those are this kind of the same scenario. I got to have these. So if that's where you got to start, and I suggest that you do, then do it. Mm-hmm. Then put your resources, your efforts into getting those critical priorities taken care of, and then work on some of the smaller ones. Mm-hmm. But if you're just out there going to Disney World every summer because that's what you've always done, you're making a mistake unless you're totally wealthy. Mm. And you've probably made enough mistakes on your own. Woke policies, you can't do much about them other than raise Cain. And people are raising Cain even within Congress. I've noticed that our political system is getting kind of pissy. They are no longer trying to be as nice as they once were. Mm-hmm. I mean, now they're arguing in airports. Did you see that?
No.
It was two politicians. I forget what he was doing. And the guy was flipping hamburgers for his constituents in his little state, and some other little Democrat come up and started trashing him. And it was a dang big argument at the airport while the guy was flipping burgers, for goodness sake. But guys like Kennedy, he can smash you on top of the head in one of his little euphemisms.
Right.
And it's so apropos.
Sure.
And you just got to love the guy. But it's getting a little testy.
Sure.
And, I mean, he not just him. You start watching these guys, and they're fed up too. Burchett, you've seen him do videos, and Tim Burchett.
I've heard that name. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a farmer. He is a farmer.
Yep.
And he is just so disgusted. He runs back to his farm to take care of the farm, doing stuff, and he has to run straight back to Washington. I forgot what state he's in, but run back and to fix some idiocy that's going on.
Right.
And he's just getting tired of it.
Yeah.
And he just wants to pick up a stick and smack somebody. Mm-hmm. I think it was Kennedy says every morning he gets up praying to Jesus to love his man and all that. He said by 10 o'clock, I still want to pray to Jesus to love his man, but I still want to slap the hell out of somebody.
Right.
Now, I've never heard a politician ever talk like that, but that's where they're at.
Right.
That's where they all are at.
Yeah.
And some are crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Some are much worse. They go, we want you to die. Mm-hmm. And they've said that out loud. Now, why didn't they go to jail? I don't know. That's a whole nother subject.
One of them's our attorney general.
Good gosh. Yeah.
Wanted to see the Speaker of the House at the time and his family.
Right.
I mean,
do you think this is normal, folks? Do you think this is going to stop?
You think he's going to come and take your gun? He's sure going to try.
You think he's going to have a change of heart?
No, they've emboldened him by putting him in office.
Yeah. So, back to priorities.
Mm-hmm. Food, water, shelter.
Food, water, shelter, and guns and ammo, beans and ammo, all that good stuff.
Right.
You notice I kind of glazed over that because that's
okay.
a touchy subject. And if you don't know about that by now, you are deep crap. So, all the things that you need to know just to get all this stuff together. You know, you can pretty much purchase what you need to know, but what if I don't know what I need to purchase? Educate yourself. Get online, research it. Don't be so lazy that you don't do something for yourself.
Right.
You know, I'll just have to pray harder about it. God's only going to do the stuff that you can't. Get that through your head. He doesn't like slothfulness neither. Let me tell you that.
Right.
So if you can do it and you just throw it off onto him, he's going to throw it right back into you. So I'm just telling you, ask me how I know. I figured that out when I was pretty young.
Okay.
You know, I'll let him handle the impossible stuff, but everything else is on me and your neighbors and your family and your friends. No slackers here. There's a lot of people that just kind of riding the system.
Well, those are going to be the first ones that have their little meltdowns too.
They're already having them. That's what I'm saying. They're already having them. I mean, these people that have been bilking the system know that they're stealing. Now, there's no other way to say it.
Right.
All of a sudden, the whole system gets caught, and they're out. Now they're mad. Well, you shouldn't have been done to start with.
Right.
And you know, you can get into all kinds of subjects there, but you know, the fraud in this country is taking billions. I'm more mad about that than about anything.
Yeah, they're starting to lift the curtain in California a little bit too.
I don't understand why it's not going much faster. When you start adding it up and going, wow, we're up to $2 trillion worth of fraud. $2 trillion. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, they keep saying. You know, time out here, folks. How about we just cut off all the money and say you're going to have to verify every dime from now on.
Right.
And hire every accountant you can. It's got to be cheaper.
Right. Sure.
It's got to be cheaper to hire every accountant in the world.
Well, we got a little taste of what Doge could do, and the people literally just lost their bloody minds.
Right. In less than 10 days, he went, you all are being robbed blind. And they go, whoa, stop that guy. Shut him up. Get him out.
Right. Those are our constituents that vote for us every time.
And it all just filters around, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a little piece of the pie. Well, everybody but us, and we're paying for the pie.
Paying for the pie.
Yeah, and we didn't even get a place at the table, you know.
No, it's because we're out there busy working.
Yeah, you
putting
can't
back into the system.
Well, you can't afford to stop and go fight them over it.
Right. Well,
then you'd starve.
You'd hope your politicians would do that, but they get up there and then they drink the flask of power, and next thing you know, what it's called is a flask. Is that right?
A quart jar. I don't care what you call it. They're drinking something. All right, educating yourself. You may not have time to sit down and really do a deep dive in any one of the subjects that I've talked about. Man, there are so many books out there that you can purchase, really good books, and for later on. You may not be able to know how to fix your 2-cycle chainsaw motor or whatever it is, whatever subject you need, or how to make a sand filter for purifying water. But by God, somebody already did that. Somebody already took the time and wrote a whole book on it, and it cost you about $8 to buy the little book. Buy the dang book so you at least have the information.
Right.
You'll have the information in your hand, not on your phone, but in your hand.
Right.
When the phone goes down, you will still have that information.
Don't forget, Obama had the button. He could shut the internet. He said, I need a shut-off button.
Yeah. Well.
They can shut it off.
AI said, no, you can't. We laugh about that, but that's scary as crap.
Yeah.
there's a lot of little classes out there. You can read a book and get the general idea and get familiarized. Certain things you just have to have hands on. You know, I can give you a book about butchering until you do it once or twice. You know, come over to the farm, watch it how it's all done. You know, it's a little tougher. Same way with canning or pressure canning. You know, it's just it's kind of intimidating when you got a pressurized vessel sitting on your stove getting hotter all the time and whistling steam, and you go, wow, that thing's building up pressure. I've heard bad things happen when that happens. Well, yeah, I get that. It's not that bad. So if you do it a couple times, you go, wow, that wasn't bad at all. I understand what I have to do. Reading it is not the same.
Right.
But at least you'll be familiar with it. It won't be alien to you when you go to do it. You might have a much better chance at success if you got that book in your hand. I've had car manuals my whole life. When I buy a car, I buy the manual, the repair manual. Now, you may have to read that paragraph 3 times, but you go, oh, okay, I see I have to do it in this order, in this order alone. You know, some things you just can't wing like that. All right, we're talking about core groups now. What are core groups? Yeah, obviously, that's your family. That should be your core group. And if you don't have that much family anymore, my family got older, passed away. I'm whittled down to just a few that are spread apart across the nation. So my core group is more of my inner circle of people that I've come to know for 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
So that's my core group, plus a few family members. You need to make sure they're all right. You need to absolutely, if you care about them at all, you need to be reaching out to them. We don't do that enough. We just kind of go home and hide. Most people do that anyway. Some of us are working our butts off out there trying to keep people moving.
Right.
You know, don't shrink away from this. You need to prepare for this. And if you're going to prepare, you're going to need help. And you start out by evaluating, and that's what we're doing here. Evaluating how prepared am I and where do I lack and how do I fix that. You may be the leader of the group or just the one that seems to be the leader of the group. Well, you're going to have to step up and be the leader of the group.
Right.
Because people they're overwhelmed. It's just too much for some people. Just like your pastor is your spiritual leader. You get overwhelmed by the world, and sometimes just a pastor can get you through it, even if it's a one-on-one. So somebody that is struggling, my goodness, reach out.
Right.
And if you don't have the knowledge to help that person, find something, because we're all kind of struggling here. We've lived in a convenience world where we didn't have to do all these things, and now we're slammed into one where we do. That's where we're at, folks. So back to evaluating everything that we just went through. Do it. Evaluate what I've gone through, and then make a plan. Set those priorities. Not everything is a priority. Not everything is a number one priority.
Right.
Your priorities are different than mine. But get those priorities on a piece of paper, and that's how you're going to keep your peace of mind, because you can't do it all.
Right.
So that's where we're at. Evaluation will say, well, I need to get a hold of Glenn if I ever need to fix my farm machinery or know how to start my garden, or whatever it is. My wife, if you never canned before, she's the one. You know. Evaluation. Do an evaluation, get your priorities straight, and get busy here, folks. We don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
There's something bigger that's going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen probably for a long time. So that's where I'm going to leave it.
Okay. All right, Glenn. Well, appreciate it. If they have any questions or want you to cover a topic, best way to get a hold of you.
Right on Facebook, Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Bobbitt. You can just type in the questions, and I'll try to get to it as ASAP.
All right, but thanks.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.